Ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to our second keynote session, featuring a prominent thought leader in science, technology and innovation, STI. It is an honor to invite Yang Mulia Academician Datuk Dr. Tengku Mohd Azzman Shariffadeen, Fellow of the Academy of Science Malaysia, President of the Academy of Science Malaysia and Science, Technology and Innovation, Advisor to the Prime Minister. He will present his insights on thought leadership in science, technology and innovation. Please welcome him on stage.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera. Good afternoon to all. Yang berbahagia Emeritus Professor Datuk Engineer Abang Abang Ali, Chairman of Malaysian Research and Education Foundation, esteemed speakers, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm greatly honored and privileged to deliver this keynote speech on leadership development in science, technology and innovation at this Contemporary Leadership International Summit 2025. I thank MyREF for inviting me. The question of leadership development in contemporary times is indeed a timely and critical subject. The world is going through transformative change and we are not exempted. All of us present today are capable of leading and should participate in leadership development. In today's rapidly evolving world, shaped by emerging and disruptive technologies, science, apologies, let me move, and maybe start again. Just 4 months ago, I have to thank Sarawak for this, ASM organized the second International Conference on Tropical Sciences right here in Kuching on the theme of harmonizing humanity with nature. The conference drew attention to the tropics, which will soon become home to most of humanity, but also with its huge forests and rich biodiversity, become the lungs of the planet. I thank the Sarawak government for the strong support to make the conference a resounding success. The conference produced the Kuching Declaration, which calls for the establishment of a global alliance of the tropics, which we are actively working on right now. I'm delighted that the topic of today's conference strongly resonates with what we do in ASM. Science, technology, and innovation is strongly linked with sustainable economic growth and development, such that we now speak about STIE. In so doing, we're expanding the STI agenda to meet social and economic goals of making Malaysia a progressive, harmonious, prosperous, and sustainable nation. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's rapidly evolving world, shaped by emerging and disruptive technologies, STIE serves as a crucial foundation for the nation's development and global competitiveness. Let us first look at where Malaysia is in STIE. Our progress across 4 key pillars, economic, societal, environmental, and STIE ecosystem over the period 2010 to 2019 was severely unbalanced. While economic growth improved, societal well-being and environmental sustainability deteriorated. More significantly, for our topic today, the STIE ecosystem remained stagnant. Malaysia can only break free from the middle income trap by creating more value, which entails the establishment of a strong STIE ecosystem. Malaysia has made significant progress in innovation ranking over the last 67 years. Globally, we rank 33rd out of 133 countries in the Global Innovation Index 2024, showing that at the surface level, our ecosystem seems competitive. But another picture emerges when we deep dive into our research to innovation record, as shown below the surface. While we have produced over 500,000 publications since 1996, much of this knowledge has not been translated into innovative products or services. Clearly, this ranking is driven largely by our export of high-tech goods produced by our E&E sector, which is dominated by foreign MNCs rather than local entities deploying indigenous knowledge or talent. Our competitiveness relies heavily on capital investment and infrastructure. To advance further, we must enhance our innovation capacity and harness our knowledge, talent, and skills in developing homegrown, high-value products by design. Ladies and gentlemen, what are the key gaps and challenges that are holding us back? First, low innovation despite good research output. 87.5% of researchers are concentrated in the public sector, unlike developed countries such as South Korea and Japan, where over 50% are in the industrial sector. This imbalance has created an innovation chasm, hindering the commercialization of local R&D. Second, low investment by industry in research and development. R&D allocation contributed by the private sector is low, 34.2% in 2020, compared with innovative countries such as Korea, where the major funding comes from the corporate sector at about maybe 70%. National GERD for Malaysia is low at 1% and is highly dependent on the government at almost 70%. Third, the STIE ecosystem is not yet fully functional. Malaysia's STIE ecosystem and governance framework are complex, spanning both federal and state governments. The national policy on STI, developed by ASM a few years ago, outlines a structured STIE governance framework that is more conducive and effective. However, to date, its full implementation remains a challenge. Stronger collaboration and trust is essential to drive a unified national STIE agenda effectively, though through mission-oriented initiatives that will address the nation's urgent needs. Further aggravating these challenges, we are confronting a turbulent transitional period of post-normal times. Navigating complexity, uncertainty, and contradictions requires fundamental shift in mindset and practices among key stakeholders. Now more than ever, science and technology must be harnessed to build value-creating solutions that benefit both society and economy. In meeting these challenges coming from multiple fronts, social, economic, environmental, and geopolitical, there is tremendous pressure to come up with quick fixes in the form of technocentric solutions. However, it may be better to consider human-centric solutions that are more sensitive and receptive to human behavior, thereby enhancing adoption. Better still, humanity-centric approaches give greater respect to people and values, and at the same time enable proper care of planetary health. These broader approaches to innovation naturally lead towards the embedding of social responsibility through whole of government and whole of society governance frameworks. The turbulent and rapid changes just described indicate that transformative leadership in STIE has become the top agenda for the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, ASM has expanded its role from being a think tank to take on the more action-oriented role of change maker. Let me try to explain. As a think tank, we provide thought leadership in delivering strategic guidance through policy development and strategy formulation at various levels within the public sector and to some extent the private sector and civil society. Despite early successes, we observe a strategic gap that needs to be bridged. Implementing agencies and organizations were observed to face myriad difficulties in putting into action the clearly laid out strategies and plans. This seemed to stem from several factors encompassing incumbent governance structures, administrative arrangements, rules and regulations, and on to processes and procedures. However, all of these constraints would be more manageable if we could address the main challenge, which is mindsets, attitudes, and mental models of the people concerned. Let me share the following story about our journey towards establishing a fully functioning set of national and regional innovation ecosystems, where mindset change is a major objective of this effort. In delivering the role as a thought leader, we have undertaken 94 flagship and niche studies, as well as 38 commission studies and projects involving various entities encompassing government, ministries, agencies, national and international councils, World Academies of Science, and international organizations. Worth noting is that 80% of our recommendations are taken up. We led collaborative studies to develop national policy and strategy papers. One such initiative is the formulation of the DSTIN 2021 to 2030 I mentioned earlier, a pivotal study paper that addresses critical challenges in strengthening the national SDIE ecosystem sorry, and in driving, excuse me, I'm still recovering from an infection through traveling a few days ago. Excuse me. We led collaborative studies to develop national policy and strategy papers, of which one such initiative is the formulation of the DSTIN 2021 to 2030 mentioned earlier, which is a pivotal paper that addresses critical challenges in strengthening the national SDIE ecosystem to drive the country's innovation agenda. We also developed the National Planetary Health Action Plan. It is a pioneering effort that is attracting interest among global planetary health proponents. NPHAP is an SDIE-driven integrated plan to embed planetary health into national policies through whole-of-nation approach, reflecting Malaysia's commitment to human health that simultaneously supports and protects planetary health. Another key initiative is the National Research, Development, Innovation, Commercialization and Economy Roadmap, we call it RDICE, which aims to drive homegrown technology and product development, nurture talent, and accelerate industry growth by leveraging knowledge in science, technology, the arts, and humanities. Internationally, we collaborate with the ASEAN Committee on Science, Technology and Innovation, COSTI, to develop the ASEAN Ahead, ASEAN SDI Ecosystem Foresight 2035 and beyond, that envisions ASEAN as a global powerhouse by 2035, driven by SDI-enabled resilience, a values-driven ethos, and collective prosperity. We have also been actively involved in advocating SDIE through commission studies and strategic inputs to related national level councils and high level meetings. In 2024, 8 presentations were made to National Council, drawing from 11 strategic papers from our studies, indicating the cross-cutting nature and importance of STIE. Since 2023, we have actively engaged with various states to strengthen regional ecosystems for collaboration and address local issues, including Sarawak, of course. These engagements open direct communication channels with stakeholders, providing insights into their needs, challenges, and opportunities. There is no one size that fits all. Each region needs solutions that truly respond to their unique priorities and needs. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me return to the question of why we were compelled to bridge the gap between policy and strategy development and its implementation, thereby expanding our role to becoming a change maker. We observed that stakeholders increasingly sought guidance on how to do the how. Let me repeat that, how to do the how. That is to provide best practices in structures and processes for effective implementation. One example is AM's appointment as the implementing agency for the Malaysia Science Endowment, MSc, upon its establishment in 2023. This endowment serves as an alternative funding source for research, development, commercialization, and innovation activities. We saw earlier that our funding for research is very, very low. To date, MSE has secured 7 bilateral collaborations, 1 multilateral one, and 1 industry partnership, with matching grants totaling more than 46 million. Our understanding of the STIE process flow, the unique needs for successful R&D collaboration and partnership, and our global network of contacts and potential contributors, for example, were seen as factors of success to initiate the project. An even more significant contribution towards enhancing the STIE ecosystem is a recent intervention at the National Science Council. Following several high-level presentations on the urgent need to transform the national STIE ecosystem, we were privileged to propose a governance framework to empower the National Science Council itself, which was well received. Key features of this structure are the holistic approach in addressing national challenges, an integrated process to formulate mission-oriented inclusive R&D programs, and consolidated program funding from multiple sectors, including public, private, and community. The government has begun the process to strengthen the system based on this proposal. Despite these successes, implementation remains a bottleneck, with many actions delayed or unexecuted. Stakeholders often struggle with execution and often turn to us for guidance on how to do the how. Seemingly, some stakeholders are forced to take action only for the sake of execution visibility, without proper understanding or strategic alignment with intended outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, given the implementation challenges mentioned, leadership development is urgently needed and remains a work in progress. Nurturing a career of proactive and future-proof leadership requires a shift from conventional thinking and practices to transformative approaches, which emphasize the critical role of advancing STIE to drive purposeful change and national progress. Leadership must evolve from traditional hierarchical linear models to a dynamic future-oriented approach that fosters creativity, collaboration, and systemic change. The most important factor in leadership development is changing mindsets. Allow me to touch briefly on the history of excuse me. Allow me to touch briefly on the history of STIE to provide some context. 2 centuries ago, the Industrial Revolution arose in the Western world, which was widely adopted across the globe. It was widely successful in bringing cheap factory-produced goods within reach of the masses, lifting many from poverty and hardship. We too adopted the industrial model of production. Apart from electronics, electrical, and automotive industries, we have also adopted the same model in the oil palm industry. Yet this model is known to cause many problems in society, economy, and now in sustainability. The world has moved on to the knowledge model without abandoning the key role of industrial production. The difference is that now even manufacturing has become knowledge-based, and new sectors are emerging that are entirely knowledge industries. This transition from the industrial economic model to the knowledge model is a paradigm shift, already mentioned by the Premier earlier, the idea made famous by Thomas Kuhn. The entrenched reliance on the past on infrastructure-driven development, which is largely value extraction, has sidelined knowledge-based value creation. Let me repeat. We have been doing a lot of value extraction, but not enough value creation. Leaders across the public sector, private sector, scientific community, and society must shift from value extraction to value creation by integrating SDI into national development planning and execution. Leadership in this context requires the ability to discern signals amid noise, a lot of noise, identifying emerging opportunities, and express yet implied ideas, unexpressed yet implied ideas that can shape innovation. This involves high degree of pattern recognition, connecting fragmented insights, and building shared mental models that may drive meaningful change. Moreover, leadership must focus on stakeholder engagement, ensuring that each sector actively contributes to a unified innovation ecosystem rather than operating in silos. The current challenge is not the lack of knowledge or capability, but rather the absence of integration and ownership among key players. As we navigate a post-normal world where established norms are increasingly becoming obsolete, leaders must denormalize outdated ideas and practices and renormalize on those that promote progressive strategies. This demands bold decision-making, resilience in the face of uncertainty, and a commitment to long-term transformation. Ultimately, the responsibility lies with each of us. The urgency to act is clear. Leadership must embrace innovation, drive systemic change, and position Malaysia as a true knowledge-driven economy and society. Ladies and gentlemen, what does proactive and future-proof leadership in STI look like? Let me quote from a well-known consulting firm on leadership. I quote, "Leadership is a set of mindsets and behaviors that aligns people in a collective direction, enables them to work together and accomplish shared goals, and helps them to adjust to changing environments." As a set of mindsets and behaviors, the purpose of leadership, therefore, is to facilitate and enable people to gain alignment, working together to achieve common goals while adjusting to the changing environment. It is not about position or job function in a hierarchy of command and control structures. Some leaders have no formal position or authority, while others have titles and job scopes. Yet both kinds of leaders choose to distribute their role and power to the people working with them, sharing the responsibility through trust and commitment. Future-proof leadership in STIE thus demands a shift from traditional hierarchical models to agile, human-centered, network-enabled, decentralized models. Leadership that is not defined by position or authority will work through actions based on behaviors and mindsets that align direction, empower others, and drive strategic renewal. In the context of post-normal times and disruptive change, leaders must unlearn rigid management styles and embrace adaptive, service-oriented leadership. This means fostering psychological safety, collaboration, and innovation while integrating digital transformation and systems thinking. Self-awareness, empathy, and integrity are critical, as leadership is a skill that can be developed and is not necessarily an innate trait. A network-based leadership model where individuals self-manage within decentralized systems while staying strategically aligned ensures resilience and responsiveness in an evolving SDIE landscape. By prioritizing collective intelligence, interdisciplinary collaboration, and stakeholder engagement, leaders can position Malaysia at the forefront of global innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, the transformation of leadership is no longer an option, but a necessity for Malaysia to become an innovation nation. As we navigate a rapidly changing and complex world, leadership must evolve beyond traditional deterministic and mechanical models to embrace people-centered, adaptive, network-driven, and impact-focused approaches. This requires leaders to are proactive, future-proof, and capable of integrating SDIE into national policies, plans, and roadmaps to enable Malaysia to become the desired innovation nation. In ending this talk, let me offer the following key takeaways. We urgently need to embrace the knowledge-based economy in society as the next phase of our journey towards greater progress. This implies elevating the importance of developing scientific knowledge and its wide application to achieve desired social and economic goals. Second, innovation ecosystems need to be developed across the country to integrate value creation efforts and facilitate collaboration and partnerships. Third, the complexities and uncertainties of the post-normal era demand that proactive, dynamic, and agile systems of governance are developed and adopted to enable wide-scale collaboration to flourish and grow. A cadre of leaders need to be nurtured to address challenges of development in the face of an uncertain and turbulent world. Leadership can be learned if we are open to new ideas. Change our mindsets, attitudes, and behaviors. All of us are potential leaders. Finally, establishing thriving innovation ecosystems across the nation is still a work in progress. We do not claim to see ourselves as the only important change maker in SDIE. Rather, we would like to empower others to join us in this journey, making change together for the common good. This has been our agenda for the last few years. Come and join us. Welcome on board. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Yang Mulia, Datuk Dr. Tengku Mohd Azzman, for your invaluable insights. Now kindly remain on stage. And ladies and gentlemen, now we would like to open the floor for those who have any question. So we will open the floor for 3 to 5 questions from the attendees. If you have any question, please raise your hand. We will have someone on the floor to pass you the microphone. So if you have any question, kindly raise your hand.
kasih.
So if no one has a question, we will proceed with the souvenir presentation, a token of appreciation. We now invite Associate Professor Dr. Dayang Afizah binti Awang Marikan once again to come on stage to present the token of appreciation to Datuk Dr. Tengku Mohd Azzman on stage. We thank you once again to Datuk Dr. Tengku Mohd Azzman for your insightful sharing and wisdom. And before we proceed with our lunch break, we once again would like to invite Dr. Basil to come on stage for a Q&A session. So anyone who have question, you may direct your question to Dr. Basil Mustafa. We once again would like to invite Dr. Basil to come on stage. Thank you. Please. So we will now give 3 to 5 questions max. Anyone have question about the topic that has been shared by Dr. Basil Mustafa earlier? Can you please raise a hand and we will deliver the microphone to you. All right, we have one over there. Hang on.
So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Jaludin Salawusi Abdul. I'm Imam of Masjid Tonson for 100 years and Vice President of the RISEP. I would like to ask your opinion on the now issue of the leadership in the world of the day, from Mr. Trump to Mr. Putin and Mr. Xi Jinping in China. What is the suitable leadership for nowadays? Because you said your presentation on the leadership, inquiry, spiritual, and dealing with that moral society. Thank you.
Dr. Basil?
You reminded me of something really happened. I was in a conference about 2 years ago, and I gave my speech on values-based leadership. And then a prominent, distinguished guest came to me and said, "What is your work on, academic work?" I said, "My main focus is on values-based leadership and how that can be implemented in an organizational context." And he said to me, "But is there such a thing as values-based leadership?" To him, values is in one sphere of life, and leadership, political leadership, is in another sphere of life. And you can't bring the two together. And unfortunately, this is the reality of the world we live in today. But it is not the reality of a perfect world. This is why we, in my view at least, we are experiencing, the world at large and human societies at large are experiencing so much turmoil and disruption in all fields, social, economic, and political, unfortunately. Just as a reminder, you all, or some of you might have known about the Enron scandal. Enron was a gas and oil energy conglomerate in the United States. It was one of the biggest in the world. It filed for bankruptcy in 2001. And it was a huge collapse. 25,000 employees were dismissed. The company was liquidated. And it is mentioned in literature and in books. The chief executive, Jeff Skilling, which led the company to that disaster, he was an MBA student at Harvard Business School. And one of his class colleagues says that his motto, Jeff Skilling's motto when he was a student, an MBA student at Harvard Business School, was that the chief executive of every company should circumvent the law to produce a shareholder profit, basically. This is how he felt the world should be run, that all chief executives should try and find loopholes in order to raise the shareholder value of that company. Now, if you have leaders who think like this, obviously they will shape the world according to their vision. He illegally used the company's pension fund. It doesn't belong to him. It doesn't belong to the board of the company. This belonged to the employees of the company. He used it illegally to raise the share value of Enron. And when this was discovered, of course, the whole process of collapse started. So there are many institutions, both public and private corporations, that are run with this focus in mind: shareholder value and shareholder fund, and they lead to human, social, and political disasters, unfortunately, that we all suffer from in these days. So it is important to talk about values-based leadership, both in the corporate sector and in the public sector, and try and see how we can bring in the two together for the betterment and advancement of humanity at large. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And the examples you've mentioned is just but one part of the unfortunate reality that we live in nowadays. But there are also, by the way, there are also some good examples, some role models. I've seen at least 2 corporate entities in Malaysia that have values at the top of their agenda, corporate agenda and corporate strategy, basically. So their business plan incorporates values, both social values, environmental values, and human values in their corporate plan, in their strategic corporate plan. So there are some examples. I saw also one company in Saudi Arabia as well. So there are some models to look forward to, but we need to increase that, develop it and enhance it. That's my view. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Once again, we thank you so much to Dr. Basil Mustafa for the insightful and very meaningful sharing with us on stage. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will now break for lunch. Please enjoy your meal, and we will resume our session at 2 p.m. And to all the attendees, please kindly check your coupon, as you may use your coupon to redeem for meal. And for those attendees who have not received your coupon, kindly proceed to the registration counter. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we will reconvene at 2 p.m. Thank you, and I look forward to see you again later.